For today's video, I want to talk about budget. So when I'm talking about budget in this video, I'm not talking about in this area, a 2-bedroom condominium's average purchase price is this amount. For the purpose of this video, budget, I'm referring to other than your purchase price when you purchase a property, what other money do you need to have available? So as I mentioned, when you purchase a property, you're going to need to have the purchase price available, but you're also going to have your closing costs. Your closing costs can consist of your escrow fee, your taxes, your notary fees. So your notary, if you're not familiar with how a notary works in Mexico, similar to a closing attorney. And you would also need to have your trust fees. Those generally represent around 5% of your purchase price. So if you're buying a $400,000 property, that's about $20,000 in closing costs. Budget, you also need to consider if you're going to want to do any remodeling of the unit or changing out of the furniture. Most resale properties are sold fully furnished. But it could be that even though the apartment's fully furnished, that you have different tastes and you want to change out a few pieces here and there. So that should also be considered in terms of your budget. When is the money needed? So, every transaction is a little bit different, but generally once you get into, this is for a resale, once you get into a sales contract, you're gonna need to deposit 10% of your purchase price, so that's a good faith money, plus 50%, so half of your closing costs. You go through the contingencies, you go through the administrative part of the closing of the transfer of title, which takes about 2 months. And then about a week before the closing, you're going to deposit the other 50% of your closing costs and the other 90% of your purchase price. So when you get into on a resale, when you get into a contract, until when you actually close is generally around 2 months. So within that 2-month period of time, you're going to need 100% of the purchase price plus your closing costs, which represent about 5% of your purchase price. And then after closing, you're going to need whatever budget you allotted for furnishing, for remodeling, or changing out any furniture as you deem necessary. With a pre-construction property, the process is a little bit different. You'll go by the developer's payment plan. So you usually have a significant down payment due upon signing the sales contract. And whatever the developer's payment plan is, if it's over a period of 6 months, 1 year, 3 years until the property is built, you will have paid the property in full by the time the property is delivered. When the property is delivered is when about a couple months after that, maybe anywhere from 2 to 6 months after that, is when you'll deed the property, and that's when you'll need the 5% closing costs. With pre-construction, the properties are not sold furnished. They're sold as is. Well, they're sold brand new properties with no furniture. And so you need to budget for for fully furnishing an apartment, beds to towels to washer and dryer and everything in between. So you need to have that budget available as well. So for a pre-sale, it's however the developer's payment plan is, it's 100% of the purchase price according to the developer's payment plan. And then once the property is delivered, anywhere from 2 to 6 months later, you should plan on your closing costs, which represent about 5% of the purchase price. And when the property is delivered is when you're going to want to furnish it. So that's when you should have your furniture budget available as well. In terms of budget, what money do you need now that you own the property? So your annual fees will be your trust fee. And depending on the specific trust bank, it's around $525 a year. And you'll also have to pay your property tax, which is generally around 1% of the value of the property. So on a $500,000 property, you're looking at around $500 in annual, not monthly, property tax. Your monthly fees will be your HOA. Sometimes HOAs are paid quarterly if you're buying a condo. Your other monthly fees, most condos, the HOA is paying for your water and gas. Well, it's included in your HOA fee. So for your individual unit, you need to have the money available for internet and electricity, which basically refers to air conditioning. So your monthly fees would be the HOA, internet, air conditioning. Now, if you have a property manager, you'll be paying your property manager's fee, which is usually charged monthly as well. And if you're renting your property out and you have a rental manager, maybe he's the same as your property manager, or maybe he's independent, he's separate from your property manager, and you'll be paying his fee, I assume, upon monthly based on the reservations you have for that month. So I hope that this has helped you a little bit to better understand your financial obligations when owning a property here in Mexico. Please feel free to reach out and ask me any specifics.